Hey everybody! Today we're going to play Runebound 2nd edition, my favorite board game of all time. I want this review video to be special, so today I'm going to play my guitar. And I'm really excited today that I'm making this video because this is my favorite board game of all time, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. In the final thoughts of this video, I'm going to tell you why I like this game so much, okay? So let's get ready to play Runebound 2nd edition. Let's get ready for some epic adventure. Yeah! Runebound!
Hey, you! You! Stop the music! Hey guys, did you hear that? Yes, what was it? I don't know. I guess we should go check it out. Yeah, come on guys, let's go! The dragon has awakened! Double dab!
This game comes with 12 unique heroes that you can play with, and that is really cool. Today I have set up the game for just 2 players, and these are the 2 heroes that I have selected. Here we got Varikas the Dead, which is the same hero that is also featured in the rulebook of this game. That rulebook right there. So I thought it would be cool to have this hero in this video because today I'm also going to teach you about the rules of the game. And then here we got Ronan of the Wild, which is the hero that I used in my first solo playthrough of this game. Here to the side of the table, we've got the other heroes with their plastic figures and their unique hero cards. Each hero is special, each hero is different, each hero is unique. It's really cool that we got 12 different characters, 12 different heroes in this game, because that means that every time we play this game, we are going to have a different experience because we can play as a different hero. Right there you got this beautiful board. The board represents the land of Terrinoth. And if you take a close look here at the board, you see that the board is divided into hexagons. Each hexagon represents a different type of terrain. We've got roads here that connect the towns, you see? The towns right there with their names on the board, the rivers, the swamps, the forest, the hills, the plains, And the mountains, these are the mountains of despair. In this game, you're going to roll these 5 movement dice, and the dice are going to tell you how far you can move across the board and the types of terrain that you can traverse in your movement phase. In this game, you're going to take your hero on an adventure across the board. You're going to explore the land, and whenever you end your movement, if you end, for example, your movement here on this hexagon, here you can have an adventure. And this is a green adventure. Or you can come over here, and on this hexagon, you can have a yellow adventure. During setup, you're going to place these tokens here on the board, covering the symbols that you find right there on the board. You see symbols of the same color. You're going to cover them with these tokens, okay? Then if you are able to complete the adventure that you've got here, you see these tokens are double-sided. They give you experience points. You'll be able to claim these tokens when you complete the adventure that you can have here on these hexagons. You'll be able to get more points here by completing also adventures of different colors. You see, the green adventures are the easiest in the game. They just give you 1 experience point, okay? So in this game, you're gonna try and complete numerous adventures because by collecting experience points, you'll be able to level up your hero. The adventures that you can have in this game are going to be revealed from those 4 decks over there. The adventures are color-coded by difficulty. We've got the green adventures over there that are the easiest in the game. Then we got the yellow adventures that are a lot more challenging. Believe me, a lot more challenging. Then we got the blue adventures that are pretty difficult. And then the red adventures that are extremely difficult. Now let me grab the green deck because I want to show you some cards. Alright, let's take a look at some of the green adventure cards here. Here we got the Night Wolves. Adventures can be monsters, like this card here. Here you got the illustration of the monster, the life of the monster, the flavor text, the special ability, the reward that you get by defeating this monster in combat. Here you got the stats of the monster. These symbols and these numbers, you're going to take a look at them during combat. You're going to have to defeat this monster to get the reward, which is 1 gold coin. You're going to get the reward and also the experience point that I showed you before, okay? This game features all kinds of monsters and creatures. Here we got these lizard rats, the death witch I meant, the hill troll, the carnivorous flora. So these cards are all pretty cool. You see the illustrations are really nice. These green monsters are pretty weak, so it's gonna be real easy to defeat them in combat. But still, you shouldn't underestimate them because some of these monsters can still put up a fight. And you certainly don't want to die in this game because if you die, you know, you're gonna have to start over pretty much. You certainly don't want that to happen. Adventures can also be encounters, like these 2 cards here. Right there you got the name of the encounter, the flavor text, and here you got all the things that you have to do to complete the encounter. This encounter here, for example, requires you to make a skill test. This one instead is a secondary quest that you may complete during your game, during your campaign. This card is going to be placed here in your play area, and it's going to remain here until the quest is complete. When you have been able to complete the secondary quest, then you'll be able to discard this card and you will collect the rewards that are listed here on the card. Then we got other types of adventure cards, like these 3 cards here. These are event cards, and you see there's a lot of text on these cards. When you draw one of these cards, you're going to place it here on the board. The card is going to remain there until you reveal a new event. These cards take effect immediately and their effects remain in play until the card is there on the board. The effects of these cards may also change some of the rules in the game, okay? So keep that in mind because that is really important. Alright, let's take a look now at the yellow deck. Here we got more creatures, like these hungry dead. Pretty cool illustrations, right? The zombies on the loose, Lady Vorakesh, Lord Vorakesh. This is one of the main villains in this game. The mad necromancer Lord Vorakesh has devoted himself and his followers to resurrecting Margath, the long-dead dragon High Lord. Margath is the dragon that we have to defeat in this game in order to win the game. Then here we got yellow encounters and yellow event cards. When you draw one of these cards here, like I showed you before, you're gonna place it here on the board. If you already have an event here, then you're going to remove the previous event and you're going to place the new event card right there. However, as a rule in the game, green event cards cannot replace here the yellow events, okay? Because you have to respect the hierarchy of the colors, because the colors also indicate different levels of difficulty, okay? Like I told you before. Let's take a closer look now at the blue deck. This deck is full of badass dragons, like this Horodrax the Terrible, or this Mondovax the Cruel, or the Margath's hatchlings. These are the offspring of Margath, the dragon that we have to kill in this game. Then we got blue encounters and blue event cards. And then you see here we got more dragons, lots of dragons. Alright, if you draw one of these blue events, like I told you before, you're going to place it here on the board, you're going to remove the previous event card. This card can be replaced only by a new blue event or a red event card, okay? Let's take a look at the final deck in this game. This is the smallest deck in the game. This is the red deck, and right there, the first card, this is High Lord Margath, the boss in this game. You have discovered the lair of Margath, the resurrected dragon High Lord. Wow, this dragon is pretty fierce, pretty powerful. Reward, the game is over and you win. In order to win the game, you have to slay High Lord Margath, this evil dragon right here. Or you can also defeat 3 red dragons. You see here we've got a bunch of dragons, they're all pretty cool, the illustrations are really nice. Really like the artwork in this game. So in order to win the game, you can slay this powerful dragon here, or you can defeat 3 red dragons, okay? These are the only 2 ways of beating the game. Then you see here we've got this other deck, this huge pile of cards. This is the market deck. Here in this deck we've got all the item cards, like all the weapons, shields, armors, and the ally cards. They're all in this deck. And to set up the game, you're going to place cards here from the top of this deck. Here on this side of the board, you're going to fill up the spaces. These are the market stacks that correspond to the town areas, the town spaces that you got here on the board. You see these hexagons here. Whenever you visit a town, you can visit the town's market. So you can come over here and you can purchase some of these items. You'll be able to purchase them using the gold coins that you got here in your reserve. All the players start with 3 gold coins. There's more stuff there in the box. Here we got more gold in these 3 bags here. Then here we got experience counters. Then here we got wound tokens, exhaustion tokens, and that little box there, this is an expansion for the game. You see, let's see if we can focus on this little box here. The Terrors of the Tomb, Challenge Card Expansion. This little box here is an expansion for the game. It's an expansion pack for Runebound 2nd edition. This game comes with plenty of expansions. There are dozens of these little packs out there that you can purchase to increase the replayability of this game. You can add more stuff to your game and make it even more epic. Unfortunately, these expansions are pretty costly, just like the base game, so they do not come cheap, but I hope in the future I'll be able to get my hands on more of these expansions here, because they are really cool. This game also has big box expansions that are of the same size of the base game pretty much, and these big expansions give you new lands to play with, new boards, okay, new lands that you can explore. For example, I'm really looking forward to playing the 2nd expansion, the Island of Dread, because there you can explore the sea and you can defeat sea monsters, okay? That sounds pretty cool to me. Now, the last thing that you have to do here to set up the game, you have to place your hero figurine here on the board. You're going to place it right there on the town of Tamalir. All the players are going to start from that hexagon on the board, and from there they will start their journey in the land of Terrinoth. So we're finally ready now to play our game of Runebound 2nd edition. I have reset the board, and this is what the board looks like at the beginning of the game. We are playing with the same two heroes. We got Varikas the Dead and Ronan of the Wild. And like I said in the previous video, all the players start the game from the same space on the board, the town of Tamalier right there. You may have noticed from the previous video that the market stack that corresponds to that town is empty at the beginning of the game. There are no items here available for purchase. That means that heroes need to move out of that town and reach other towns to have access to the market and be able to purchase some of these items here. Here we got swords, shields, armors, powerful allies that we can purchase using our gold. All the players start the game with 3 gold coins, and they will acquire more gold as they complete adventures during their journey. Now, if you remember what I told you in the previous video, I told you that at the beginning of your movement phase, you're going to be rolling these 5 dice here, and these 5 movement dice will determine your movement across the board. Here on these dice, we got a variety of symbols. Each symbol represents a different type of terrain. So you're going to be using these 5 dice here to build yourself a path here through the land of Terrinoth. However, you need to know that if your hero is wounded, or if your hero is fatigued, you won't be able to make a full movement. That means that you won't be able to use all of these 5 movement dice. You're going to have to set 1 die aside that you won't be able to use. That means that during that movement phase, your hero is going to be able to move only up to 4 spaces. If you want to remove these tokens here, they are called exhaustion counters in the game, and they represent the fatigue that your hero has collected during his journey. You can decide to roll fewer than 4 dice at the beginning of your movement phase. For example, if you decide not to roll these 2 dice here, you can remove these 2 counters. How you remove these 2 wound tokens, that's a bit more complicated. You're going to have to use the special effects that you find on these cards, and you can also spend gold to heal your hero. But I'm going to tell you more about that, okay, later on in this video. Now, let's say that we have rolled these 5 dice here for Ronan. Ronan is going to be the first player. So now we're going to spend these 3 dice here for the symbol of the road that we got on these 3 dice, the black slash that you see right there. And we're going to make this movement here across the board. 1, 2, 3. We're moving Ronan down this road that connects the town of Tamalier to the town of Riverwatch, which is our destination. Alright? Now, we could also decide now to spend here this die for the symbol of the forest that we got right there to walk into that forest and have a yellow adventure, but we don't want to do that because yellow adventures are way too advanced and we have just started out the game. We cannot afford to have a yellow adventure. So instead, we're going to continue here our movement on this road and try to get to the town of Riverwatch. Unfortunately, we can't do that either because we don't have here other symbols for the road, so we cannot continue our journey. However, we can use the special ability of our hero. By placing these exhaustion counters on your hero, you can activate the special ability of your hero. And Ronan has got a very nice ability that you can use during the movement phase to reroll one of your movement dice. And we're going to do that right now. Let's see if we get a road. And yes, we do. So now with this symbol here, we can continue our movement, and with this die here, we can finally walk into the town of Riverwatch. You see, you can use any symbol here to enter a town because towns are considered wild spaces on the board. They are considered all types of terrain. So you can use any die here to enter a town space on the board. Now, there's a limit here to the number of times you can use the special ability of your hero, and the limit is indicated right on the hero card. You see this number here? You cannot place exhaustion counters on your hero beyond this number. This means that the special ability of Ronan of the Wild, of his hero, can be used only up to 4 times. Whenever you walk into a town, the first thing you have to do is reveal a new card from the market deck. So you're going to take a card here from the top of this deck and you're going to place it into that town's market, which is this market stack right here. So now here we've got 2 cards that we can purchase. Let's take a closer look at them. So here we've got an ally. This is the Rune Apprentice that costs 2 gold coins. And here we've got an artifact, the Potion of Healing, that costs 1 gold. We start the game with 3 gold coins, so we can purchase these 2 cards. We're going to do that. We're going to spend our gold, and now we've got our 2 cards here. We've got an ally that has joined our adventure, and we got this nice potion that we can use to remove damage from our hero. And this is pretty much the end of Ronan of the Wild's turn. Now it's going to be the turn of the second player. Varikas is going to do a very simple movement. He's going to roll these 5 dice. Let's say that we have already rolled them. He's going to use these 2 dice here to make a very simple movement. He's going to walk on this road, and then he's going to enter this hexagon here. This is a plains, and we got the symbol right there to enter this area. And here, Varikas is going to have a green adventure. That means that we're going to pull a card from the top of a green deck. Alright, let's take a closer look at this card. This is an event card. When you draw one of these cards here, you read the effect and then you place the card here on the board in the event area, like I showed you in the previous video. The effect of this card is immediately active, and remember that this card remains here on the board and the effect remains in play until you reveal a new event. Now you must draw another card from the top of a green deck because you must draw a challenge. And this is a challenge, this is a monster. Here we've got the Razorwing hunting flock. The sky erupts with the sound of 100 wings beating in unison, and a shadow falls across the land. The ancient Razorwings have emerged once more from the caverns of Drurn, and they are hungry. Pretty scared. Now, there's going to be a battle here between our hero, Varikas the Dead, and these Razorwing bats. And finally, we are going to make some combat rolls, and we are going to roll these 2 10-sided dice. So now we're going to have our first fight in the game. We got Varikas the Dead up against the Razorwing hunting flock. The first thing that we're going to do, we're going to activate the special ability of our hero. If you place an exhaustion counter here on the hero card, you can use the special ability of Varikas the Dead. And if you take a closer look here at this card, you see that Varikas the Dead has got a special ability that takes place before combat. You may take 1 exhaustion counter to make a magic attack. That's the special ability of this hero. We're going to do that right now. We're going to roll these 2 10-sided dice. And we're going to make a magic attack here on this monster. So we got 4 plus 7, 11 plus 4. You're going to add this number down here. This is your magic combat value. We got a total of 15. Now we take a look here at the monster's magic combat value, that is 11. So 15 is higher than 11. Our attack is successful. We deal 1 damage right there to the monster, as indicated by this tiny little number down here on the hero card. Alright, so this was the special ability of our hero that takes place before combat. This means that the real combat phase hasn't even started yet. Now we're going to dive into the real combat, and right at the beginning, if you think the monster is too powerful for you, as a last resort, you can try an escape roll. You can roll the 2 10-sided dice. If you're successful, you can run away from the monster. This is not going to be the case because here, I think it's going to be pretty easy for our hero to defeat this monster here. It's going to be just like a baseball match. Here, Varikas the Dead is going to use his sword here like a baseball bat, and he's going to swing this sword here at these evil bats, and he's going to take them out one by one. So we're going to follow this order here that we find here on the card. These are the 3 phases that we got during combat. We start with the range combat phase, then we got the melee combat phase, and then the magic combat phase, okay? This is pretty much like the same combat sequence that you also have in Dungeons and Dragons. If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you know that first you have range attacks, then melee attacks, and finally magic attacks. Now you can attack only in one of these 3 phases, and in the other 2 you must defend. So here you see for the first combat phase, you see that Varikas the Dead is not really good at range attacks. So here we are going to try to defend from the monster's attack. We're going to roll this 2 10-sided again. And we get a 2 plus a 3, that's a 5, plus our 1, that is a 6. The monster is attacking with 13. So we have not been able to defend from the monster's attack, and we take 1 damage right there on our hero. Now we move to the second combat phase, that is melee. This time we are going to attack the monster. We are rolling for damage. Oh. So we got an 8 and a 4, that's 12, plus 4, 16. The monster has got 11, so this attack is indeed successful. And this time we get to deal 2 more damage here to the monster, as indicated by the tiny little number that you got right there. So the monster has got 2 hit points. With 3 damage, the monster is dead. We are going to get the reward, that is 1 gold coin. This green monster is going to be placed now on the bottom of a green deck. Alright, so plus 1 gold. Also, do not forget to collect the adventure token right there from the board, because now the adventure is over. So you're going to take this token, you're going to place it down here in your play area, okay? And you're going to flip it. And now this little token here tells you that Varikas the Dead has been able to acquire his first experience point. Ronan is also ready for an adventure. On his previous turn, Ronan of the Wild visited the market of the town of Riverwatch, where he spent all of his gold to purchase some good stuff, but now he's ready to walk into this hexagon, and there he's going to have his first adventure in the game. Remember that when you're moving just one space across the board, you don't have to worry about rolling the dice. Okay, so you're not supposed to roll the dice if you're moving just one space across the board. Now, let me draw here the card on the top of a green deck. This is the adventure that Ronan is going to have here now on his second turn. This is the Assassin on the Loose. Lord Vorakesh has been known to hire help to reach his goals. So now, Ronan of the Wild is going to have to defeat this monster in combat, and you see this monster looks a bit more powerful than the previous one. Now we're going to have here an epic battle between our hero and the Assassin on the Loose. So here we got Ronan of the Wild and his ally, the Rune Apprentice. You see that Ronan is not alone in this fight. Ronan can count on the help of his ally, the Rune Apprentice, that he was able to recruit during his previous turn in the town of Riverwatch. Now Ronan of the Wild and the Rune Apprentice are going to fight together against the assassin here, the Assassin on the Loose, and they will make sure that the assassin doesn't take flight again into the woods and escapes justice once again. Now the first thing you're going to do, you're going to check for any before combat abilities, and unfortunately here our hero has got an ability that can be used only during the movement phase, and you see our ally here hasn't got any special ability. This is just a flavor text, but the monster has got a before combat ability that we're going to resolve first. If you take a look here at the monster card here, you see there's a before combat ability, test range 14 to spot the assassin. If you fail, take 1 damage. So basically what is happening is that the assassin is perched on this big branch on this tree, and he's got his bow in his hand, and he's ready to strike an arrow to deal a damage here to our hero. If the hero is able to pass this test, he can spot the assassin, he can avoid the arrow. So let's do this test here. Let's roll these 2 10-sided dice and let's see if we get 14. And yes, exactly what we needed. 10 plus 4, 14. Also, do not forget to add the number that you got right here. This is your range combat value. So 14 plus 3, 17. We have been able to pass this test, and we do not get a damage here from the before combat ability of this monster. Now we can dive right into the real fight. You need to understand when you want your hero to attack and when you want your ally to attack. Because remember, you can attack with your hero only in one of the 3 phases of combat, and in the other 2 you must defend. Now, if you've got an ally, in the 2 phases in which you are defending, you can have your ally attack in one of those 2 phases. And here I think we're going to follow this order. We're going to start with Ronan. We're going to attack the monster, because you see here at range attacks Ronan is pretty good and can deal 2 damage. Then we're going to defend during the second combat phase, and then we're going to use here the magic attack of our Rune Apprentice to make a second attack here during the final phase of combat. So let's get this fight started. Let's start rolling some dice. Okay, so 10 plus 4, that's 14, plus 3, 17. The monster has got 16 right there, so this first attack is successful and we deal 2 damage right away, right there on this monster. 1 more damage and the monster is dead. Now we're gonna have to defend with our hero. 8, that is an 8, no, that is a 9. 9 plus 4, that is 13, plus 2, 15. The monster is attacking with 11, so we have been able to defend from the melee attack that this monster has made right now. Now we've got the magic combat phase, and we're going to attack with the Rune Apprentice. We've got 1 against 10, so this should be pretty easy. 1 plus 9, woo! by the tooth of the skin. I think that is the idiomatic expression. 9 plus 1, 10, plus 1, 11. 11 beats 10, so 2 more damage here on this monster, and the monster is now dead. We're going to collect the reward. Let's take a look here how much money we get. So here we are going to receive 3 gold coins. That's a lot of money. Okay, so we're going to place here 3 gold, and then do not forget to grab the adventure token over there. And now our Ronan of the Wild has got his first experience point. And you see here Ronan, using the help of his assistant, of his ally, was able to beat this monster and come out of this fight unscathed. Okay, so now we are getting closer to the end of this review. Now I just have to tell you a couple of extra things before I can end this video. I think that you already have a pretty nice idea, nice general idea of how you play this game. And I have to tell you just how you level up your hero, okay? Then I'm also going to give you some extra advice on how you play this game and how you win this game. And then I'm gonna leave you to the final thoughts. I hope you like this review video. I had a lot of fun making this video because this is my favorite board game. And I also had a lot of fun making the introduction that was pretty special. The introduction to this video was really, really nice, pretty epic. So now let's talk about the how you level up your hero and how you make your hero more powerful. You're going to spend here your experience points, the points that you acquire by completing quests and defeating monsters, to purchase these experience counters here. These counters are going to improve some of these stats here that you got printed on your hero card. So you can spend your experience to purchase, for example, this counter here that will increase your range combat value, or this other counter here that will increase your magic combat value. You can also increase your life total so that your hero can take more damage. Or you can increase here the number of exhaustion counters that you can place on your hero so that you can use the special ability of your hero more times. I really like this part of the game because I think it's really clever, it's really well done. You've got a high level of customization. You can decide what you want to improve on your hero. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, my advice on how to play this game is that you should always try to remove all the damage that you got on your hero. And you do that by using the special ability of some of the cards that you got in the game. Here, for example, you got an artifact. This is the Potion of Healing that has a restorative effect. There are more cards like this one in the game. Also, allies may have some effects that can help removing damage from your hero. Otherwise, if you don't have any of these special effects, any of these special abilities, you can move into a town space on the board, and there during the market phase you can spend your gold to remove damage from your hero. For each gold that you spend, you can remove 1 damage token, okay? It's really important that you remove damage from your hero, that you keep a low number of damage tokens on your hero, because you never know what is going to happen in this game. You've got event cards that are unpredictable, that can change the rules of the game, that can affect the players pretty badly. You've got unpredictable encounters and monsters and challenges. You do not know the kind of monster you're going to run into. There's also the possibility in this game, just to make things even more complicated, there's also the possibility for players to attack each other. If a hero ends his movement on the space of another hero, then that hero can decide to attack the other hero. And for example, here we could have Ronan of the Wild attack Varikas the Dead. And the 2 players are going to roll this dice here back and forth until one of the 2 players die. You can also try the escape roll, but if you fail, then it's gonna be pretty difficult for you to get out of that fight. When you die in this game, that is a huge blow. You're going to lose your money, your experience, and your most precious card. So that can be a huge setback, okay? Also, when you lose against another player, the other player can decide to steal your most valuable card as a reward, or you can also decide to steal all of your money, okay? So, you see, There are many things that happen in this game, and many of these things are unpredictable. So you gotta be ready, okay, to fight back any kind of threat that you encounter as you play in this game. That could be the attack of another hero, that could be a monster, an event, a special encounter. There are so many different things that happen in this game. Here we have really just scratched the surface, okay? There's so much more in this game. And this is why this game is so unique. This is my favorite board game. I really like this game. Now I'm going to leave you to the final thoughts for Runebound 2nd Edition.
Runebound 2nd Edition is my favorite board game ever. Period. There's no doubt about that. And now in this video I'm going to tell you why I'm so enamored of the 2nd edition of Runebound. I'm going to tell you a story that goes all the way back to when I started playing board games and card games the first time. When I was still a young adolescent and I didn't know the universe of games that we got out there. All those amazing board games and card games that we got out there in the world. Sometimes, you know, I talk about my passion, my hobby, my love for board games with the people that I know, especially the older people, people that are older than I am. And, you know, they just mention the only game that they've ever played, and that is Monopoly. And, you know, that makes me laugh because that gives me... that makes me realize that they haven't got the faintest idea of what is out there, all the great games that we can play. This game is amazing, for example. I think this game is a masterpiece. All the people out there should at least play this game once in their lives. So when I started playing games, board games the first time, I remember that I quickly developed in my mind the idea for a very particular type of game that I wanted to play pretty badly, but I couldn't find anywhere out there. So I decided that I would go ahead and create that game myself. So I started working on the game, on the board, on the cards, on the illustrations. I created everything for that game. It took me 6 months of painstaking work. And after 6 months, I came up with my first prototype. I set up everything on the table. I got my family reunited. There was my dad, my sister, also a close friend of mine. We were all playing the game, and then the game didn't work out at all. And that was a terrible experience. It took us 3 hours to complete the first level, and then at that point my dad just left the table and said, "I've had enough of this game." My other friend started to speak ill of the game, so it was a terrible experience. But I realized that the game that I had created had too many mistakes. It was too slow. So I got pretty frustrated. I just took all the stuff that I had created. I put everything on the shelf. I left the game there untouched for years. And I decided that I would forget about it. But then a few years ago, I made the decision that I will give that game a second chance. I wanted to complete that game project that I had started many years ago. And then last year in 2021, I was on YouTube, I was watching a few tutorial videos for games, and I came across this game here, Runebound. Until that time I had never heard of this game before, and I watched a tutorial video for this game. I took a look at all the components, and bam, you know, I realized that the game that I was trying to create already existed, and it was this game here. You know, that was a total shock for me. It was a lot to take in. So I went right ahead, I purchased a copy of this game, and I was very lucky there because this game is really precious. This game is really rare. It's very difficult to find a copy of this game, and I was really lucky to get my hands on here the base game of Runebound, the second edition, for a reasonable price. I got to play the game with my dad the first time. I also made a video about that that you can find here on my channel, and it was love at first sight. I immediately loved this game. It was also painful, you know, because I realized that all the efforts, all the energies that I had spent in creating that game had been wasted because the game already existed. But then this game gave me the stimulus to go on with my project, and I'm glad to tell you that there's a happy ending to this story because now I'm getting to finish my board game. It's a game for 2 to 4 players. It's an adventure board game like this one here. And now I have now that I'm adding the final touches to the game, I can tell you that the game that I have created is significantly different to this game here. I mean, there are more play mechanics in my game. There are more mechanics that we don't get in the base game of Runebound. There's a different setting, a different theme. My game, for example, is based on samurais. Here we don't really get any samurais in this game. So they are two pretty distinct games, okay? And I can't wait to tell you more about my game when I get to complete the game. When I'm done with the game, I'm gonna bring it up here on the channel. I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to show you the game, and I just can't wait to do that. I'm looking forward to showing you the game, and I hope you're going to like my game. So now for the final 2 minutes, let me tell you something more about this game here. Runebound 2nd Edition is my favorite board game. This game came out in 2007. It was made by Fantasy Flight Games. The game designer is a guy named Martin Wallace. I have played other games that this guy has made in his life, but I've got to say that here in the 2nd edition of Runebound, Martin Wallace really outdid himself. This game is excellent. It's a masterpiece, okay? The artwork in this game is made by a very talented artist. There's actually a team of artists that have worked on the artwork for this game, and one of the artists for this game is Jesper Eisen. And I remember that when I took a look at the artwork in the game the first time, I thought, well, the artwork looks pretty familiar. Then I found out that one of the illustrators was Jesper Eisen, and then I said to myself, now I know why. Because you see, Jesper Eisen is my favorite illustrator for Magic the Gathering. He has created some amazing artwork for some of the best cards that you got in this game here. And, you know, that explains why the artwork in this game looks so familiar to me. So everything about this game is excellent. The artwork is phenomenal, the components are great, the miniatures are really cool, the board is superb. So I love everything about this game. The only real problem that I have with this game is the duration. In my opinion, this game takes too much time. But there are ways to work around that and fix that. If you want to make this game shorter, then I'm going to place all my suggestions, all my modifications and changes down below in the description of this video, and I strongly suggest you include these modifications in your gameplay if you want to make this game shorter. I remember when I played this game the first time with my dad, it took us 4 hours to complete this game, and 4 hours is way too much time. In my opinion, okay? I don't really like playing games that take more than 2 hours. And if the duration is not a problem for you, then you can just play with the basic rules, okay? Otherwise, just check out all my modifications, all my adjustments that I am going to list down below in the description if you want to fix that problem. So this is my review for the 2nd edition of Runebound. This is a great game. I'm going to give this game a very high grade, 10 out of 10, the best grade that I could ever give to any game out there. I love this game. This is my favorite game, my favorite board game, and you need to play this game.